Thank you everyone for joining me for another AppScan Tuesday session. Today we have, as usual I guess, another special guest, and this guest is a customer of ours using AppScan Source, one of our lead customers, and he has gracefully agreed to join the show. So let me bring in Vladimir. Hi Vladimir.
Hello, Ethan.
So Vladimir manages an application security testing team in IGT, and he has a lot of experience with AppScan Source mainly and AppScan Enterprise. And I asked him to come on the show and see if he's willing to share some of his experience with the tool. So before we go to the demo, which is really impressive demo, going in depth, I want you to tell me, Vladimir, a little bit about what you're doing in your role. What is your day-to-day job and how you help the company and the dev team?
My daily job is mainly related to all tasks related to static application security testing. And my team is closely collaborating with development teams. We are helping them to start scanning process, scan their applications, triage findings, and perform remediation of discovered security vulnerabilities. In our process, we are trying to automate as much as possible and to implement our practice early in development, software development life cycle. And to achieve this, automation features of AppScan and AppScan Enterprise Server are very important to us.
And is most of your job, of your daily job, helping the development team in understanding what they need to do, or supporting them, or running scans yourself? What would you consider?
All of that. All of that. So we are trying to cover all touch points with software development life cycle. That means that we need to implement our process as early as possible in development life cycle, discover all the bugs. As a part of our shift left effort, we are trying to involve development teams as much as possible in this process, to educate them, to work on awareness process, so that they can be self-supporting. Additionally, we are also performing analysis of source code, analyzing all developed applications, and in that way ensuring that all possible security vulnerabilities are discovered and that risk is reduced as much as possible. So we are performing all the tasks regarding to static code analysis for security.
So you're doing still the old stuff of running scans yourself, going deep in, get your hands dirty, but also supporting all the automation that is needed with DevOps and supporting your dev teams as they are your internal customers, like many are saying, correct?
Yes, and it is very important to mention that deep dive is a big part. Deep dive analysis is a big part of should be in any application security process. When you have automation, it helps you to detect all possible issues continuously and early in development phase. But also you need to have additional gate with deep dive analysis to be sure that all previous steps and tasks are performed in a proper way.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we learned a lot from working with you and how you guys are doing this work. And also when we introduced the IFA, you were one of the first ones to try it out and give good feedback on how it helps you reduce the effort that you have in order to support automation. So we're talking about automation a lot, and automation is not just running the scans. And in this session, we are not going to focus on actual running the scan. It's more about the other activities that you have with the security. What are you doing with the scan after it's completed, and how you work with AppScan Enterprise with that, right?
Yes.
And you prepared, you showed me that you prepared a Python script that you're using. So instead of showing everything over the REST APIs, over the Swagger, we will focus more on how you are doing it, how you automate it with your Python wrapper, if we can call it that way. Correct?
Yes. For today, I have prepared some Python scripts with couple of methods implemented that will show how to use one of the most important REST API functionalities exposed through AppScan Enterprise Server.
Cool. So let's jump right into it.
Okay.
While you set up your screen.
I will start sharing my screen.
Yeah. You need to stop the video and share the screen, and then we will move to your screen.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Please tell me when you are able to see my screen.
Yeah. It's on. Thank you.
Okay. For this purpose, we are using our test environment, and this is test instance of AppScan Enterprise Server. For today, I have prepared 3 test applications with some dummy data, but it will be enough to see all basic functionalities of REST API.
Mm-hmm.
So when you open AppScan Enterprise Server, in top left corner you have a main menu, and in this menu you have link to AppScan Enterprise REST API documentation. When you click on that link, it will lead you to another page where you have listed all functionalities of AppScan Enterprise REST API.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm mostly doing static application security testing, I will briefly go through all these functionalities that are important for our practice.
Yep.
One of the main methods that, and actually where all automation is starting, is login method. So here in this documentation, you can find how you can execute login call through post HTTP method. What is important, once you execute this method, you will get cross-site request forgery token and session ID. And you have to submit these 2 tokens to all subsetting calls to REST API. Okay. What is most convenient here with this documentation is that you have a description for all parameters that should be passed when calling these methods, and also you have model schema with example how your, in this case, body of HTTP request should look like. Also you have a description of all response messages, and all methods are interactive, meaning that you can execute any of these methods. But as our main goal is to automate, we will show how to do that through Python script. So this is logging method. Another important method is lockout method. Also different methods for administering, updating, and creating of applications that you have in AppScan Enterprise Server. Then methods that can help you manage management of access control to these applications. So you can assign different permissions to different people that need to access your application in AppScan Enterprise Server.
And I guess, Vladimir, you're using this Swagger page usually just to test out items, but this is not how you would automate. You're using the wrapper that you mentioned earlier, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We are using the wrapper. We are calling that from Python scripts.
Mm-hmm.
We are using REST API Swagger when we are starting to automate. Then we read documentation. We analyze what are needed parameters to execute some of the calls to REST API. And if needed, we are executing that from Swagger just for testing purposes to see how it is working. Once we have all information, then we are going to Python scripts. And I will show you in my development environment how this Python scripts looks like. So when you're starting to automate and to call methods that we just have seen in Swagger, first you need to log in. To perform all REST API calls, I will use requests module. So this is only additional model that you need to add to your Python installation. And this model is very convenient and very, very easy to use So, and very intuitive. So I will demonstrate how it is working. All these functions that I prepared for today, I will execute from Python console. So now I will switch to Python console. I will perform all imports, and I will define login function here. Okay. Now in Python console, we have a defined login function. Now I will go back to my script, and I will call this function. We'll go back to Python console, and I will execute that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can see that I'm successfully logged into AppScan Enterprise server, and I'm getting cookies and session IDs. So these two objects should be passed to all other subsequent calls to REST API, because with these scripts we are reporting to AppScan Enterprise server that we are already authenticated and authorized to access.
Yep.
Before we continue, I just want to describe login function. So first thing is you need to call appropriate REST endpoint. In this case, you can see how I defined URL that is called. I'm calling here. I'm calling this URL.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that it goes to ASE API. So it is calling AppScan Enterprise Server API, and I'm calling a login method.
Yep.
To successfully call this method, I'm defining this header. It's content type header, and because we are all data that are sent to AppScan Enterprise Server are in JSON format, so I define an appropriate content type. And down below, I have defined body of the request. You can see that I'm sending my username, password, and feature key. So I want to log in as an AppScan Enterprise user. And after I defined all input data, I'm executing post request through requests module. I'm sending to this function is using URL that I defined, headers, data, and here at the end of the list of the parameters, I define verify false because I'm using my testing instance with self-signed certificate. So in this case, I'm skipping SSL certificate check and preventing this method to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Once it is finished, I'm checking are there any errors in this request, and if there are no errors, I'm returning as a return value of this function, I'm returning session ID and cookies. And now this session ID and cookies can be used further in other calls. After this, I will switch to another method that gets all applications that I currently have defined in AppScan Enterprise Server. So this function is called get applications. It receives session ID and cookies. Here at the top of this function, I'm submitting a cross-site request project token. You can see that it is actually session ID that I received from the logging method. I'm defining application JSON as a content type and range, number of applications that I want to fetch with this call. And now I'm calling specific HTTP method that is part of AppScan Enterprise Server REST API. You can see here that I'm calling REST API and specific method.
Applications now. Yeah.
Applications, yes. And I will perform get HTTP method. It will return all application, and if everything went well, I will return list of applications in a form of JSON object.
Okay.
So now I will copy this method to my Python console like this, and now I will execute this function. So this is function call that I will use in Python console down below.
Mm-hmm.
And it successfully fetched all applications that I have. You have seen at the beginning of this presentation that I have 3 test applications.
Yeah.
So here you can see a list of these applications. You can see that there are 3 applications.
And all the information about them?
Yes, with all information that is very important. So you can see that there is open issues, number of open issues, maximum severity. Then you have ID or application that also will be used in our next examples. We have total issues, we have number of high issues, new issues, fixed issues, medium issues, low issues.
Yeah, and
so
the name of the
very
application.
Important,
Yeah.
Parameters of this application, also name of this application.
Mm-hmm.
And this all this information can be interactively used. And one example why this is important. Using this call, you can get all information about your applications. You can calculate custom metrics and reports, and you can save this report in a different format, for example, CSV or Excel files. Or you can use this information to perform correlation with your other tools. For example, tools for software composition analysis, or with the tools that are performing dynamic analysis. To perform correlation with those findings. In that way, you're actually implementing the orchestration of the tools, and additionally, your custom reports could be fed to some other tools, for example, into GRC tools.
Mm-hmm.
So integrating your static application security testing with risk assessment and compliance processes. So very, very important feature.
And you can only do that, I guess, when you trust the results. So that's what we are saying. In the scenario that you're showing now, you will load assessment that you already evaluated and not doing everything automated. You don't want to make a mess on the GRC system with things that you don't 100% sure trust.
Yes. That is why, as we mentioned, also have multiple gates that we are checking that all steps in the process are performed in a way it is defined with our policies. Okay, now we will switch to another function that I defined here. It is function that is very useful when you perform automated scans, or when you have large catalog applications that need to be uploaded to AppScan Enterprise server. In this function, I will demonstrate how to create application. So for this purpose, you're also calling applications endpoint, applications function, but you will perform a post HTTP method. Mm-hmm. Here, in the body of the request, I will define just the name of application. ID of application is 0. It is currently not defined. I will also define all necessary headers.
Yep.
And perform a post call. And if everything went good, I will receive JSON with information about this new application that is created in AppScan Enterprise server. Now I will go into Python console. I will execute this method, and then we can switch to our instance of AppScan Enterprise server to see how newly created application looks like. So this application, as you can see in this function call, will be called ASE demo. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me switch to AppScan Python console.
As usual, everything can be done from the UI, but you're just automating everything. You will never need to go to ASE if you don't need to, if you don't want to.
Exactly. And now we will switch to AppScan Enterprise server. I will refresh. Okay, I will need to wait a couple of seconds because I'm accessing this through VPN, so it's a little bit slower. Mm-hmm. And at the top, you can see newly created application. Yep. And currently, it is empty. There are no issues, and business unit is not defined. Mm-hmm. So now I will go back to my development environment, and I will define a function for uploading of assessment to AppScan Enterprise server. For this purpose, I will define this URL. You can see that I'm accessing
the issue
API, but now I'm calling issue import method. And this method accepts URL path parameters. So one parameter is application ID, this one, and at the end of the string you can see 16. So this is type of the scanner, and 16 is ID for AppScan source scanner. And now I will go to REST API documentation and to show you how you can find all this information to perform this call. First, we will take a look at definition of issue import method. We will take a look at post method. And here you can see the list of the parameters and how they are passed. So you can see that app ID, it is passed as a path parameter, also scanner ID. It is also passed as a path parameter. And now down below you have cross-site request forgery token, scan name, and upload file that are passed as a part of body request. And as we are passing scan name, that is string, and assessment file that is actually a binary stream, we will have to create multi-part form request, post request.
Because of the size,
Yes. So that is how issue import method is working. And I just want to show you scanners, how to obtain that scanner ID. So here in scanner section, you have get method. If you execute that, you will get long list of all possible scanners that could upload assessments to AppScan Enterprise server. And among these information, you will find section for AppScan source, and there you will see that AppScan source has ID number 60. So now I will switch back to my...
Yeah, and we have the multiple scanners because we want to allow upload of results from other scanners also in AppScan Enterprise.
And now I will execute this upload assessment function. So first I will perform definition, and after that I will execute the call. Okay, upload assessment. And if we go to our Python console, I will execute. Okay, it is currently uploading. It is successfully uploaded. So now I will go to AppScan Enterprise server. I have to refresh that. And now you will see that new scan results will appear here. Now you can see that we have 3 high, 6 medium, and 1 low. And I have to say that these assessment files I created by scanning simple IoT project that is coming with AppScan source installation. So that is examples project that you get when you install AppScan source. Now, when we have scan results here in AppScan Enterprise server, another thing that I wanted to demonstrate is how to update already created application. For example, you want to change business unit or description of application, or application is renamed from different purposes. You need to update that in AppScan Enterprise server. And if you are having hundreds of thousands of applications in AppScan Enterprise server, it is convenient to have that automated. First step that you need to perform before you update application is that you have to get e-tag for that application. And for that purpose, you are targeting API and calling applications method, and you are getting this specific application by its ID. And once you get that, e-tag will be in a header. And we will get e-tag for application that we want to update.
Okay.
After we get e-tag, now we can move to update application function. You can see here that I'm calling previous function and getting e-tag. And after that, I'm creating URL and calling applications method that is part of API. I'm defining headers. Very important thing in this header is, of course, to submit cross-site request forgery token, define content type, and add this if match header with e-tag. So very important. Without that, you can't update your application. And after that, I'm defining body of the request and entering new name for our application and new business unit. And in parameter section, I am specifying ID of application that has to be updated. So now I will define all these functions and methods in my Python console and then execute the call. So here I will paste that.
So basically, as we are building the inventory, or you are adding a lot of applications, if for some reason they need to move to a new business unit or changing some names, You don't need to do them one by one. That's the idea. It's not a common thing that will happen, but when it happens, it can be very painful. So.
Well, when you're mentioning it, and so software products inventory, I think that it is a very important part of any security program performing static analysis of the source code, because in large companies you have huge base of applications, and you need to have a very precise inventory of these applications and maintain that inventory. And you know that new applications are created, new branches in source controls are created, there are new clients, also applications are renamed, updated, and you need to maintain all of that.
Yep.
And to achieve that, it is very important to have automated that process.
Definitely.
Okay, now I will call this from the Python console. So what I'm doing here, I'm using this application that we created in the previous step. You can see that here I'm telling that I will update this new application that we created. I am taking its ID. So this new application that we have created, I have it here in variables, and you can see that its ID is 360. So I will update that application. Its old name is ASE demo, but I will name that to AppScan Tuesdays, and I will create business unit that is called HCL. So I will perform this call, and application is updated. And now I will switch to Enterprise server. I will refresh the page. And once it is refreshed, you can see that now application is called AppScan Tuesdays, and it belongs to HCL business unit. And the last step, when you perform all your actions, you need to log out. And to perform logout, you need to call logout API to submit session ID and cookie here, and to finish and to end your session. So I will perform this last step here. Okay, log out, it is defined, and now I will call this method. And I'm successfully logged out.
Cool.
So it was a whole process how to get inventory of your applications, how to create new application, upload assessment, and how to administer your existing applications and update them if needed. So one important usage of AppScan is that actually one of the complex use cases would be, for example, to use IFA deltas together with REST API. With IFA delta, you can calculate revert delta and to get all resolved issues. Once you have all resolved issues in your assessment file, you can find these issues through REST API on AppScan Enterprise server and to change their status to fixed or to some other appropriate status. So in case that you have large number of applications and the developer forgot to update status on AppScan Enterprise server, you can control what they are doing by applying IFA delta, checking what is resolved, and then comparing that with issue status in AppScan Enterprise server. To demonstrate that, it would require much more time, but it is also one important use case.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, everything that you're showing us here, you showed today, and well, before I'm going that, is there anything else, or do we bring you back?
That should be basic usage of AppScan Enterprise server. Okay. So I just want to add that Swagger is very important. It is interactive and it has comprehensive documentation for all these methods. So it is starting point when you start to automate. Once you have all information and insight how API is working, then you can implement that in any programming language. So for this purpose, I have been using Python programming language.
Sounds good. So can I bring you back now? Stop sharing and...
Okay, yes.
Thank you very much, Vladimir. Basically, I mean, it was important for me, and when we discussed before, to show this because running an application security program in a company in your size and in your role is way beyond just running the scans. Running the scan is the first step. Is okay, I found vulnerabilities here. What am I doing next? Am I better than where I was yesterday? Where is the actual risk that I have, and what are all those other teams are doing, and all those development teams? And you showed us that it needs to be automated, especially when it comes to the amount of work that you and the team are doing. It's not something that can be manually done. So great with that. Thank you very much. I have
Thank you, Ethan.
I have a few questions for you that maybe I should have prepared before. Is it okay by you that I include your details below in the description of this video if someone has questions and want to connect with you over LinkedIn?
I think it would be okay.
Okay, and I don't know about this script. If anyone has questions about what you saw today, or just want to reach out to Vladimir, there are other things that I know, other project that he's involved with, very interesting stuff. If you want colleague that works in this business in getting his view on some of the tasks that you're doing, I'm sure he will be happy to share.
Yes, of course.
Any last words, Vladimir, about the session that we had today?
Well, just to say, as you mentioned previously, when you are managing application security process with a large number of applications, you always need accurate information to manage the process properly. And in order to achieve that, automation has a very important role. So I think that this, what we presented today, is very important for anyone who is implementing application security process and static application security testing.
Yeah, in large organization, you have to have that visibility. You can't remember, oh, I have those 4 applications. That's okay. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of applications, and you need in your role to have the visibility and to see what teams are doing and helping them. So thank you very much for attending this session, and I will talk to you again, I'm sure. Bye-bye, Vladimir.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Bye-bye.